cabin. There's a 7-foot ceiling stuck in it. And the fireplace was limestone. Daddy and Granddaddy went and got that somewhere away from here. Got limestone, hauled it here on wagon, horse and wagons, shipped into Rapidan on rail, and they bought it here.
They picked up Monroe. Monroe Waugh lived here. They picked him up on the train to take him to law school.
Yeah. And at Blacksburg, I believe it was, or one of them places down there, that's where he went to college. But anyhow, there used to be a plank fence just the other side of where that tree is. And
so take a peek.
And Grandma would come out here and knock off.
You see that little flag in there? You know what was there? 10-pound parrot.
No.
When they come in here. So there's a fence all along here.
Yeah.
You ain't never seen
Fence is the other side of these trees here.
The original fence.
Yeah.
Was there a driveway coming up
No.
here? So this is all grass.
Yeah. Yeah. I just push mow it.
Oh, wow.
No real mower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Grandma would come out here when the weather got bad and she didn't have firewood. Take an axe and knock the boards off the fence, bring them in now, put them in a split bottom chair and just keep shoving them up in the fireplace. And it was quite a chore.
So I moved this building. I moved the smokehouse over to there from on the other side.
Originally was a blacksmith shop.
This was the blacksmith shop?
Yeah, it sit over just the other side of the wheel.
Yeah, he was blacksmithing in there.
Well, everybody back in them days done that. You had to fix your own wagon wheels.
Well, he was a wheelwright.
They could make anything.
They could do anything good.
Yeah, well, you had to back in them days. There wasn't couldn't go up to 5 and 10 cent store and get what you needed. You had to make it.
So your dad was Stiles.
Stiles Franklin.
Which everybody called him Bud.
Yeah.
And what was his father's name?
Monroe.
His was Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, he also did brother's name Monroe too. And Monroe was married to Lula Clark.
Yeah.
And Joe Martin's wife was her sister.
Oh, okay.
Lived in this corner house down here. Rose? I can't remember what her name was.
We bought at the auction that I mentioned.
But Grandma always called her Sis.
Yeah.
And there was another Clark that lived here close by, but I can't remember what that one was. But anyhow, this old well,
I found it.
got where couldn't get water.
Yeah.
But Daddy and my older brother and I come out here.
But look what I found. Do you see what I found?
Yeah.
The original. Was that up when you came around?
Oh yeah, that was all. It had a concrete slab over it.
Okay.
And a hole in the middle where you picked up out, took it out of there. Well, one time they had
I'm gonna restore that and bring it back just for decoration and all.
and there was a weeping willow here, which we took out because of that gone thing. The
Roots ate it up.
went through the steel pipe
Yeah.
and choked the water off.
We have that same problem. So that was
We
the
had to go down there
blacksmith
and
shop.
take all that out.
That was the blacksmith shop.
Yep.
That is
And it sit right over there.
originally.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was that one. That's the way it looked. All right.
Where do you think the outhouse was? I'm thinking over here where that soft is, but I don't know.
Where the old shop was the Johnny house set there next to it.
So there's a soft spot there, but then also up around in here, there's a real soft spot here that I thought that might be.
There was an old shop, a garage like it set right over here.
Well, it was just on the other side where that red car was.
That's about right. And the driveway come in down through here. And you go straight down through there, just past that house. Big barn set down there.
So I found footers on the barn underneath here.
No.
Well, I found limestone footers. I don't know what it is, but I've got the stones, but there was a print around here. Didn't know what it was, but it was an indentation.
Well, there was a garden right in here.
So where do you think they might have been buried?
I don't know. I never.
Never saw a stone? So they said that James and his wife and their slave was buried right below the garden.
They said below the garden.
So down there are some daylilies and all, and I thought, well, maybe somebody planted lilies on them because there's a bunch of lilies there, and then back on the other side too. They talked about his sister Polly, James, his sister Polly, who didn't have kids. This is in the 80s.
Would have been, yeah.
Well, the old railroad would have come through
You can see the ridge.
this part of right there.
Yep.
And
Comes
if you
through
look
about
over
right
here-
where that trailer is, and then diagonals
Yeah.
over.
Now, this pond over here, that dam is part of the old railroad dam. My grandmother and Uncle Monroe used to come in and catch the train. They'd come up and they waved the little flag, the train pick them up right there.
And then they could go to Orange, or where did they go?
It went through Orange and Lynchburg, all
Oh my gosh.
back to
You could go
Fredericksburg.
anywhere.
Yeah,
You could really go anywhere.
one of was on the railroad around here. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible to think.
Let me show you something down here and see what you think about it. So,
Now there's another wall that lived next door to this.
the brick house?
This one.
Oh,
That was cutting Archie.
Archie Wall.
Yeah, he had, and this is a sad story. Him and his first wife had one child, and they got where they couldn't get along, so they divorced. He married his first cousin. Had 4 more.
Well, so James Tolles Clark's parents, they were first and second. Her name was, what was her name, Jody? I can't remember now. But same deal again.
Married, James Holmes married Wilshire, I believe.
My little brother's name, first name was James.
Train bed was right through here.
Yeah.
It come up through, but here's what I'm curious about. You see that right there? I think that's where they were buried. There's no reason for those flowers to just arbitrarily be there, but it would have been on the other side of the train, and then there's another set of them over there.
No, there's another cedar.
So normally people, not that kind of flowers, but if you wanted to leave a permanent mark, that would be the way to do it, is to put daylilies down. So that's kind of what my thinking is, but I need to,
I'm so glad to see y'all got this place and
We're
you're
trying.
cleaning it up. That guy
It's
who
been
lived
a-
here before, they trashed up everything.
we're trying.
And this old house, later on, they added the upstairs to it.
Yeah.
And then later on, they added this end on it. And
So they took the roof down to add the section up,
Yeah.
and that would have been 1830. Well, when James came in,
they built it. It was 2-story to start with.
it was a two-story
and
cabin.
then- yeah.
Well, yeah, because it is a two-story cabin. Okay,
And
but they changed the
those
roof
stairs
on it.
went up the end of it.
Yeah, still
Then they
do.
added this 2 stories on the end. My uncle G.M. Monroe and Bud's brother was in the Air Force and died. Well, I was about 1 year old, and I saw his casket. I can remember this. People say, "How can you remember?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "You weren't but a year old." So he was. They showed back in. They showed they found it in the coffins at home, and that was a big room. And
In the downstairs room.
yeah, and Granddaddy was shown in the front room where the fireplace is, and when you walk in. And I remember that. And the grandma told the story, said they had this bed that had bed posts like that. Granddaddy was a tall and big guy, and a regular bed, his feet hung out over the end. So he had this bed special made with him, and it was all oak, and it's all in grooves and everything. We had the bed. My sister and her husband got a hold to it, and the nightstand had the marble tops on it, and had the place cut out for the bowl to set in to wash your hands and all. And they sold that stuff. Why did you do that? I don't.
We might have picked some things up that are just exactly like you just described. We have a marble countertop we picked up
But
exactly
this
like
thing,
you
but
talked
this
about.
thing is, Grandma was bad about moving furniture around all the time.
Yeah.
Well, back then it wasn't electricity in the house, just lanterns. So Granddaddy come in, Grandma said, peel his galluses off, his bib overalls off, and was supposed to take a step back and sit down on the bed, pull his britches off. The bed won't die. Granddaddy hit the floor, got up, lit the lantern, said, Lula, put that bed back where it belongs. She said, well, Papa, I like it. I like it right where it was. Now you put the bed back where it was. I'm going to the shop. I'll be back in a few minutes. And this bed had to weigh 300 pounds.
She didn't care.
And it's a feather tick mattress.
Mm-hmm.
But she managed to scoot that thing back over. And Granddaddy come in. She said, well, if he chopped nails and nailed that thing to the floor.
We could probably find those nail holes in there. Would that have
it's
been the big room in the middle upstairs?
No, the ground level on this end.
Ground level. So that was his bedroom.
Yeah.
And like you said, fireplace in every room.
Yeah.
You could see where that fireplace had burned coal and everything.
Yeah. And it was, we had the old bed in it, for a long time. Mama had it. And then when my sister got married, she wanted it, so Mom said take it. But this thing was a huge, it's like a king size.
So this gentleman's name was?
Monroe.
Monroe. The Monroe.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that tall.
And
No, he's a big boy.
His daddy's name, was his daddy's also named Monroe? Your
Well,
granddaddy?
my granddaddy was named Monroe and
then-
his son named Monroe.
Okay.
And if you go out here to Unionville, just before you get to the post office, turn left, go up that road, graveyard right there on the left. About halfway down, you see these big stones wall. And you'll see Monroe and Lula. And then you see another Monroe, GM. And then my mom and dad's on down another section, and my brother, two brothers.
Did they ever say anything about who built that cabin or?
They built it. Grandma and Granddaddy built that and did it by hand. Monroe was never a worker. Little Dad's brother. He was never a worker. He's always going to school getting educated. They married Bland. I can't remember what her last name was, but you ask Wells Waugh, you know Wells?
Mm-mm.
He just bought the farm behind me. I live down on 522, where the gas plant road is.
Yes.
Opposite of that brick house right there. And he just bought the old Coleman farm right behind me and beside me. Now, that's Monroe's grandson. Because that's Gary was his son, and Wells is Gary's son.
Now, who owns the Clark Farm that they're calling Clark Farm that's down on that, down the I guess below Bushy Mountain, further on up where you've got the Battlefield Grocery, growery, and then there's that big Clark Farm that's somebody out of New York, something?
I don't know who owns that.
Yeah.
But Alex Waugh used to own a piece up on Bushy Mountain.
And so I made friends with his son,
Well,
Trey.
His daddy, Gory, he owned a lot.
Yeah.
He was at a furniture store in Orange. But he fooled around there, and after he died, Alex was never a worker either. So he just sold a piece here and a piece
Well, I
there.
knew Alex. He could talk.
Oh yeah, and but it was kind of like I was telling you about Monroe. He didn't marry. He married into a woman that had money, so he never worked.
Monroe did?
Yeah,
Is that the
Little-
Clark? Lula Clark? Or?
grandson. No, Lula's son. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So Daddy and Monroe, Daddy and Granddaddy, they worked construction, and they went all over the country. The only family known of to sit down with the Hatfields and McCoys. And not have a feud. Because they were putting a railroad through at that time, and there was, Daddy used to have his picture. I don't know where it got off to. It was old Model T Ford, all shot up, looked like Barney and Clyde. And so they went down to the blacksmith shop and had this metal put around it, just a little peephole through it. Because some guy said they just found a mile away. And so you see this puff of smoke. After a while, you hear bang.
That's funny. But they have old Sharps rifles.
Yeah, well,
Ain't no telling.
you know anything about black powder, you can charge a barrel.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole place is something else.
Yeah, we were burning wood here, and then the fire flared up and melted all the siding. Because the fire got too daggone big. So it's like, well, There's another chore, but we're in the middle of refinishing the roof, getting it all painted and patched, and
This
I'm gonna strip all this down and actually repaint it and let the old house
this end
come
down here was built separate from the house.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it used to be a small stairwell that went upstairs for the servant to come up.
Oh.
And they had a little room up there which become a bathroom later.
Oh.
That was the spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had slaves back then. They
Yeah.
talked, and there's that pass-through in the window where you pass the food through.
Well, that pantry, they added, after they put this piece up, later on, they closed in between.
Mhm.
That was a dining room now.
Ah.
And
So it was a single
have a-
open room?
yeah. And you had cupboards and everything right there.
Yep, we
And you
still got
just
those.
Do your cooking in here and you just shove it up
Shove
on
it
a
through.
shelf and go around the other side and pick it up. Didn't
They
have
had
to-
servants in here
Yeah.
for quite a while.
But granddad and grandma were good to people.
Oh yeah, we saw that. That's the thing that came up a lot.
And cutting Archie, oh yeah, he was good to people too.
Now, which house did Archie live in?
Where Vernon Range's house is, they tore the old place down. Vernon
Yeah.
bought that place, tore the old house down and built a new house there.
Gotcha.
And he used to grow watermelons and cantaloupes out here by the railroad track all the time.
Oh.
And grow these long banana cantaloupes.
Sell them to the train people?
Give them to, no, way up after the train register.
Yeah.
And before, they were just as sweet as they could be. He would come down the house and bring some garnish sacks. We had a dairy farm. And he'd come down and scoop that cow manure and rich dirt into these bags, put it in the back of the car, haul those shit, and that's where he planted his watermelons and all that.
Oh, I'll bet they were delicious.
Oh, they was. The old road just come right down through here. Like I said, there's a shop over here.
Yep.
Turned right down through here. And there was a barn the other side of where that house is. Matter of fact, when they built the road, they had to tear the barn down, new road.
So your grandfather had slaves?
I don't think they had slaves. They had people that worked for them.
People that were
Servants, that was common.
Yeah.
That I had seen. But
Yeah.
James, his daddy, or his uncle, it depends on which side of the family it was, here had slaves, but they stayed after emancipation because they didn't mistreat them.
Your grandparents were. You know,
The
you
wall
don't look-
side.
You don't look old enough to have grandparents in the Civil War, but maybe I'm just all messed up. But because we found a shell in our yard from Union shell
Well,
and a bullet in,
Uh-huh.
in the chimney.
They talked about people running up and down the street firing each other, the north and the south. You had Buford's people out here doing it.
Granddaddy was and now there's another wall, Wallace Wall. He used to live down there on the hill where the gas plant is.
Mm-hmm.
And they were brothers. And Uncle Wallace was a powder man. And he was the honoriest fellow. Granddaddy was a little bit ornery too, but
Yeah.
he's good to people.
Mm-hmm.
He'd like to walk by and
Yeah.
punch you a little bit.
Good
you know.
natured about it.
Oh, step on your foot.
Yeah, yeah.
How you like that, boy? But Uncle Wallace would go down to the liquor store with 3 sticks of dynamite in his belt. Different length fuses, smoking a cigar. There'd be a bunch of black people there. Y'all get out of the way, let the man up there, get his drink. Oh, you think you are? Like that stick of dynamite, everybody's gone.
Yeah.
I said, well, Dad said, what'd they do? They said, nothing, they just put a pocket knife and cut it off.
Yeah. He didn't care.
Well, that's one way to clear the way, isn't it?
Well, it's a different world back then.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The truth of the matter is we cannot see the world through our eyes that they saw through their
No.
eyes. It ain't the same thing.
And I can't remember how many times I didn't hear Daddy say, I don't know how in the world the next generation is going to make it.
I'm feeling the same way myself right
am
now.
Gosh, I know, me
If
too.
we don't get rid of this thing we got up in the office and get somebody in there to
I
take care of this
know.
country,
Oh, it's coming.
Gracious.
It's coming.
I want to.
It's coming.
So Lula, who was Lula's parents? Lula,
I really don't know.
probably could look the
But
genealogy.
who around here might know? All the old people gone.
I
think
know,
old-
right?
Old Willie Nixon might know some of that.
He's gone too, isn't he?
No,
This is a different Nixon.
yeah. Willie Nixon lives up there where the picnic tables are. on 20. You turn down that road, and when the road makes that sharp turn, you keep going straight. It's
Oh,
his
okay.
driveway. That's a brick house right there.
Oh.
Well,
He would know.
we gotta go.